Hi everyone, welcome to Nareen's Life with MS. I'm Nareen, and welcome to one of my favorite things, right? So, this episode, I decided to do something slightly different and talk about something that has always been one of my favorite things, and it is a favorite thing that was actually been impacted by MS, and I'm pretty sure if you do have MS, or if you have any other autoimmune condition that actually impacts any part of your body, you would have had a favorite thing beforehand that did get impacted. And oh yeah, by the way, I do have one of my favorite t-shirts on as well. So hopefully you know this does resonate with you. So the favorite thing that I did want to talk about today is reading. I love reading, and I do remember, there being times in the past where I would fight with people over my love for books, fight with people because they needed to read a book that I was reading, or to read, I needed to read a book they were reading. And it reading has become a little bit more of a challenge for me now, and the reason being, of course, the oscillopsia. And I have mentioned it before, the whole thing of nystagmus and oscillopsia. Now nystagmus does not really affect me, right? It's just more seeing my eyes kind of shimmy from side to side. But for someone with oscillopsia, it's the exact opposite, right? I see my vision just shaking side to side, um, almost dancing in a way, right? And the reason I wanted to talk about this was because reading was definitely one of my favorite things to do when I was very young. Books were some of my best friends, and they still continue to be. I mean, I think there probably is a stack of books that I'm not seeing right now. They're probably hidden away somewhere, but you know, uh, books have definitely been very much a comfort thing for me, growing up, and having them. And I do remember, in the times before I was actually diagnosed, my left eye was considerably stronger than my right eye, to the point that my right eye might have been a 20/70 vision, and my left eye was, I think, a 20/15 or a 20/12 sort of vision, which meant that I could practically see things that you can only see with perfect vision from 12 feet away, from 20 feet away. So I did have that amazing gift for a little bit. And I think it all just pretty much went down to my body overcompensating to some extent. But more than that, uh, you know it was just the fact that I think my brain knew that I love to read, and it was just trying to appease me while my body was uh, you know pretty much getting bombarded with symptom after symptom. So what actually does happen when you do have something like oscillopsia? Well, um, I still do see everything. I do see everything. It's just that everything tends to almost shimmy, right? Almost like a dance step. And definitely there is going to be a future my favorite things video about dancing and how, and the lack thereof in my body now. But definitely, one thing I did want to talk about is the fact that reading has stopped becoming as much a pleasure, as much of a favorite thing as it used to be in the past. And part of it is just that it is much harder to read now. It's much harder to um, understand what I'm reading. Usually I have to go back and read, And I remember prior to having oscillopsia, when I had double vision, it also would become very hard to actually, you know, to be able to look at a page and actually identify which are the original words and which ones are the double vision words, so that I wasn't reading the same, um, the same word over and over again. Because sometimes it actually made sense to have the same word repeated from time to time. So it definitely was one of those things that was you know a big impact for me. And considering that, because of at least one eye having better than perfect vision, I was able to read at a much faster speed than what normal people would generally read at. And the one thing I didn't know was, when I did transition over from physically reading books to listening to audiobooks, was that no speed of the audiobook was fast enough for me. Because then I realized that, okay, I was practically skimming over the words and still being able to understand what the sentence that I was reading. And it is a challenge still to um, you know uh, kind of absorb that tough to swallow pill, that reading is not my one of my favorite things now, just because it definitely has turned a little slower. It's not as it's not as pleasurable. And on top of that, it's a lot easier to see things when they're not dancing in front of your face. So I did want to talk about this, and I did want to turn it over to you, that if you do have an autoimmune condition or um, any such disease that has impacted you from doing one of your favorite things, what has been that favorite thing, and how has your condition impacted it? Because obviously I would say that you know reading being a favorite thing, I wish that there does come a time in the future where you know the oscillopsia goes away, um, and I'm able to you know pick up a book again and be able to read it in peace, regardless of how fast I can read it. Because the pleasure of being able to hold a book in my hand is sometimes something that I do end up missing, right? It's like losing a best friend, just because while they're there, you're not able to derive the same amount of pleasure from it. So that was this episode of my favorite things. Do share your inputs, do share your insights on what are what is your experience with this kind of loss of a favorite thing. And together we can definitely find ways to make life a little more pleasurable, and definitely find better things to do, and find new favorite things, um, while not forgetting the prior favorite things. So thanks everyone, and have a great Tuesday.